The higher the consciousness, the more possibilities. During your spiritual growth process, you acquire the ability to attract all elements of yourself scattered around the world. This happens. We must be able to imagine and conceive that which is sometimes even inconceivable. That is, we should physically feel something, as if we possess it in the present, having already accomplished it. Our feelings are triggered when we talk about negative aspects. They are triggered thanks to thoughts. Therefore, if our thoughts are pure, if our mind is directed towards divinity, then at some point feelings change quite quickly. And then the feelings, being under control, become those that inspire. Hello. I am very interested in your opinion on this question. I want to understand why, when a person embarks on a spiritual path, those wishes which seem to take them off this path come true. I have a son, 18 years old, who started practicing with me. It was 3 years ago. Now he is 21. His wishes concerning the military have come true. Now he is in the military, a paratrooper. Precisely after seminars and retreats. That is, there were many obstacles to this, and now everything has come true for him, but accordingly, he cannot engage in spiritual practice. Why does this even happen to people? You know, as a matter of fact, everything happens, even this sort of thing. It's not worth worrying about this. I'm not worried, I'm just interested from the perspective of why this happens. When a person embarks on the path of spiritual development and certain circumstances lead them away from it. How much time did he manage to practice? 2 years. 2 years. There are certain karmic obligations. There are astrological periods for him who has embarked on the spiritual path. There are still tasks that he did not complete in the past. Certain forces are activated, certain periods become active, sub-periods. Astrologers know about this. If we want these sub-periods to leave the person in peace and for them to continue spiritual practice, by the way, this must be desired by the person themselves, not by you, then something needs to be done for this. There are several options. The most universal is sadhana, spiritual practice. So he practices no matter what. But this is possible only if the person has chosen a path or embarked on a path, and he has determined what he needs. A simple example. A person wants to achieve certain levels, but they are plagued by one illness after another. They practice, but their illness pushes them back. They want to meditate, but they have problems with their body. They want to think clearly, but they have severe headaches. Just an example. What to do in this situation? They must continue to want it. And at the same time, they must take some Ayurvedic medicines to cleanse the body, mind. Perform sadhana. Practice diligently. And pray. This is the universal way. Proper nutrition, right thinking, proper breathing, prayer, and spiritual practice. Why does it work this way? I have answered you. For him, probably, even if you look at astrology, most likely there are certain periods that manifest themselves in this way.
Imram, Sairam, I have a research question. Could you explain to what extent is it possible in words? What is spirit, soul, mind, and ego? What are they for? How are they connected to each other?
Spirit, soul, mind, and ego?
Yes.
Can I answer briefly?
If you don't mind, can I ask again?
There is only spirit. Everything else is an illusion.
So everything else is the manifestation of spirit on lower levels?
Yes. But the manifestation of spirit that we know, in imagining itself, it may have forgotten about its original nature from which it arose. Then something separate arises, which takes on the right to think that it is independent. Thus the ego appears. Look, there is Satpurush, the Absolute. There is Prakriti, the original force from which all material nature arises. Subtle material and material nature. Satpurush, Prakriti. They are one. From them, from this aspect, Satpurush, Prakriti, arises the triune force. These are the gunas, the so-called gunas, from which the entire universe arose. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. That is, it is the creator, the one who harmonizes processes and maintains, and the one who transforms, destroys, transforms. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva.
These are just aspects of the same thing, right?
Yes, this is the next force that is deviated from the original. This is the aspect of the original strength. From these three forces arise five. In general, there are 13 of them, but there are five main ones. Panchabhuta. Five energies that actually shape and give us the opportunity to feel this world as it is. Where in this the ego is manifested, this is your task. Meditate.
Can the spirit have several souls, or the soul have several bodies, and so on?
Maybe, yes. There are cases when the soul is divided into multiple personalities. These personalities can be gathered. Now, if I start talking about this topic,
this is not about schizophrenia, this is specifically about different bodies.
There are many dimensions. It is like a matryoshka doll. Scientists say there are parallel worlds. In fact, I do not see them as parallel, I see them as one within the other. One world is dominant, another is not. And in each of the worlds there is you. This is actually a big problem. Just kidding. So consciousness, you need to put yourself back in place. In some mystical schools, there is an understanding that a minimum of 48 aspects of the soul are scattered around the world, and sometimes even 81. And the more you attract them to yourself, attract them however possible, these energetic aspects, that is, these so-called entities, parts of you, in what way, how do you think? Right.
Meditate.
Magnetism grows, and the soul is attracted to this magnetism. Why? Because growing magnetism is the strengthening of consciousness. The higher the consciousness, the more possibilities. And this consciousness encompasses a lot, large spaces of the world. In these worlds, a part of you is present. You are gathering this energy. During your spiritual growth process, you acquire the ability to attract all scattered elements of yourself to yourself, if such exist around the world. It is possible. I will tell you a very short story now. Did I answer your question?
One more question. When you say that the soul is mortal and the spirit is immortal, how is that? Is it that some particles of the manifested are dying?
Look, I will tell you very briefly now, too. Say you fell in love very strongly. Let's assume. It is a frightening thing, but nevertheless. And you cannot live without this person. But in this love, you are not developing. You are dependent on this love. Such things happen to people, right? Yes. Then you change bodies. You change the dimension. Death is a change in dimension. You change the dimension. You were born in another body, somewhere in South America, let's say. But a part of you remained there, and it hangs in space. This soul, which loved at the human level, disappears. It dies. However, information about the unresolved situation will remain in the astral plane. And when you are born, the same story appears, the same person appears, maybe different, but with the same story, figuratively speaking, with the same inclinations or programs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I won't tell you the story. Let's move on to the next question.
No, tell me.
I just wanted to tell about how I served in the army 35 years ago. It's been 35 years, can you imagine? Recently, I visited a place of military historical importance. I even have a video where I was giving a report there. All these years, for some reason, this place attracted me. Of course, I was never attached to all this, but since it was occurring, I thought, okay, I need to go there. Here I went with my two colleagues, students, to this place. Stayed there, collected all the astral bodies that remained hanging on the pines, on the trees, in the missile shafts there, figuratively speaking, in different places, assembled my astral body. So I returned the overcoat of the past, so to speak, and came back. Such things are also possible. And are they going to be left hanging there? They are sulking there. Take us away from here. I also looked at what's been going on there, how it all looked interesting. When you often remember some places from the past, and it touches you, some people go into nostalgia, then find the opportunity, come to this place, meditate, as if you were there at that time. Return to that time, figuratively speaking. Imagine, immerse yourself there. Gather all the energies, say. By right, what belongs to me, I take back into my world, into my life, into my time. In this way, you can retrieve a part of yourself that remains there. This is possible. Or another example, if you feel that you were very upset at some point, there was some kind of energy outburst. You got angry at someone, the energy was dispersed into space. And a part of you went out somewhere or to someone, you can meditate and say, the force that was given freely or involuntarily, regardless, to someone or something, I rightfully return back. And the information on this topic I disperse or transform into light, into love, however you want to imagine it. Rewrite the program. I return it back. What belongs to me, I return. Imagine that this energy enters you and dissolves in the divine cave. You can take it into the Manipura chakra, pull it straight into the navel and let it stay there. You can pull it into the third eye and it can stay there. Dissolve it in the divine cave. Do you understand the principle? This is actually not self-comfort, not a falsehood. It really works. This is really so because when you are involved with something, you have a connection with it. Remember, I told you earlier that there is a kind of magical contagion. When we think about someone, we have a connection with them. When we think about something, we are involved with it. We have a connection. You thought about a loved one. They are somewhere very far away, and you are thinking about them. You are connected with them. You are in astral connection. Therefore, think only good things about people. What do you need unnecessary problems for? All right. Your question. Yes.
I have a question about the interaction of mind and feelings. We always say that you need to calm your mind. Although it is clear from all the questions that feelings are primary here.
What does the scientific method of Kriya relate to? There are many emotions, feelings, and so on. There are heavy feelings, shame, guilt, fear. There are bright feelings, gratitude, dignity, and their interaction maintains some kind of balance in the psyche. What does the science of Kriya relate to feelings? And if it's not about what it relates to, but about their origin, what does it relate to? To the soul, to the spirit, to the mind, or to the body? Where do they live? The science of Kriya is knowledge about everything. Of course, it contains an understanding of how we can bring under our control the mental, astral, and etheric planes. The physical will react itself. Our feelings are triggered if we talk about negative aspects, thanks to our thoughts. A darkening thought triggers feelings. This is also related to hormones, which upon entering the blood and entering the brain, create a state. Therefore, if our thoughts are pure, if our mind is directed towards divinity, then at some point feelings change quite quickly. Then the feelings, being under control, become those that inspire. If we talk about the fact that the mind, let's say, is not used, then there is another possibility. We, turning to the Almighty, pray for His help, that is, to the higher consciousness. We address the higher self. Then, bypassing the mental plane, which is only used to make the appeal, bypassing the mental plane, we release so-called mechanisms in feelings. That is, when we turn to the Almighty, we are feeling from the heart. We do this sincerely. Here, feelings are very important. I will tell you that a breakthrough in the spiritual sphere is made on account of feelings. However, the idea is mostly associated with the mental plane. So, if we are talking about the need to cultivate positive or benevolent feelings in ourselves, then first of all, what do we need to do? Start learning to think about the good. Because it is precisely a thought that triggers the mechanism that launches feelings. You see? How can we learn to think about the good when feelings are here and now? Here is another point. I will now tell you that a person sitting says, I wasn't thinking about anything, but I feel so bad. Because these are already recorded programs, they come from the subconscious. We feel it. We cannot even understand at all what is happening sometimes. We think that we are not feeling very well, for no reason, as they say. There is no reason, it just happens. Because we already have formed neural connections in this direction. It is worth looking at something, which in some way subconsciously reminds us of a certain state, situation. A mechanism in us is activated, and we cannot understand what is happening. With associative connections, right? It is pure association. Yes, this is already just a formed program. We need to remove old unnecessary programs. We need to rewrite neural connections. We need to disconnect the neurons that form this connection, where associatively, as you say, these unnecessary programs are included. But it takes 7 to 21 to 40 days to do this. It depends on the situation. During intensive practice of Kriya Yoga, with strong willpower, this happens very quickly. 7 days at least. If you allow yourself to do regularly for 7 days what is necessary for transformation, it will be very quickly recorded, give you the opportunity for development. On average, this is 21 days, 3 weeks. Let's say you want to get rid of a habit of some kind, an irrational fear, for example. There is no need here to look for the reason for this fear, if possible. It will be a little faster. No, so then what must you do? You start to record the program of fearlessness. but you feel fearless. This is a very important point here. If you want to crystallize any idea, you need to learn to believe right now in that which does not exist. We must be able to imagine and conceive that which is sometimes even inconceivable. Then it will start working. Do you understand what I am talking about? That is, we should physically feel something, as if we possess it in the present, having already accomplished it. In this way, the program crystallizes, the wish crystallizes, like the magic wand of Harry Potter. We want something. We are hypnotizing ourselves right now on all planes of the topic of what it is that we want, already bringing us joy with its presence, its taking place, and we feel it physically. We feel as if this joy has already happened, and all this has already been accomplished. Although the mind says, but this is not there, however you start to feel it. Here feelings are just very important. Within the course of 21 days of regularly visualizing myself as a realized saint, but only need to feel this realization, then everything will happen. A small addition to your question. Do not focus on the negative in order to work with it. Choose the opposite right now and start to work with it. It washes away the negative. Good. I always advise the simpler way. Draw a column. The left side lists aspects that you need to work with, which you do not like. And on the right side, write the opposite of this. So for example, here I am afraid, and here I am fearless. Here I am ill, and here I am healthy. Here I am lazy, and here I am very... Choose a word or term that represents how you feel. Hardworking. But it's not just a word, it's a belief that you really love to work. You imagine this. Then you burn the left column, send it into space, and fully focusing on the right column, start working with it. Growing positive habits. Through positivity, you wash away negative habits. Suppose you have a habit of doing something that is not very good for you. You start working oppositely, writing a program to abandon this. Focused on the positive. After some time, neural connections, in rewriting, allow you to easily brush your teeth with your left hand, as if it were your right. At first, it happens clumsily. Toothpaste on the nose. Then you can easily reach your wisdom tooth far in the back. All right. You're welcome. I studied how authoritative this information is. The monastic order of Juna Akhara. You are present there. How did you get there? I myself do not know how I got there. Yes, I am there astrally. I'm not physically involved with them now, but I spent enough time there. The fact that the late Somnath Giri Maharaj Pilot Baba, who is one of the leaders of the Juna Akhara, recognized me in Khadija in 2008. We just arrived. Sababa said, it would be nice if you could get in touch with him. This was an internal instruction. We just came to thank him for his presence. We came just to see him. No initiations, nothing absolutely. So at that moment we had a teacher and a certain knowledge. But we were very interested in expressing our respect to this master. Khadija and I happened to be present at an audience. We were sitting. Before this, there was a lecture. To be honest, it was a bit strange. There were a lot of people there. And Pilot Baba very often looked at us, right in the face, into our eyes. We were sitting in the hall. We absolutely did not try to stand out in any way. But he was watching us the whole time. Khadija knows. She remembers this story. Then, when everything was over, we went to the place where he used to spend the night. My spiritual companion and comrade from a past life, one could even say, his name is Chris. He is Bulgarian. He was a good translator at that moment. Together with them, we communicated with Pilot Baba. It was then that he said that we would make good teachers. He said, it would be good if you combine the direction of Raja Yoga and Kriya Yoga, because there are many people who in general need knowledge, but not everyone is ready for such a high science as Kriya. I took this idea very seriously. It was not an easy task. Our second meeting with them was in the direction of Guru Sankalpa, that is, the unification of efforts, so to speak, a kind of cooperation. He said the following, I remember you 1,500 years ago. You were in Juna Akhara, in our order. This is an order that is more than 13,000 years old. Adi Shankaracharya founded this order in his time. He reformed the Vedas. Adi Shankaracharya is the embodiment of Shiva. Pilot Baba then unambiguously said that it would be better for you to return to our order. It will be easier for you to work in the world. In this life, I have several other tasks, and I do not belong to any confession or order. But out of respect, I've received initiation to embody again in this incarnation. And I am a Brahmin. I am a family sannyasi. Do you know what this is? It is a monk who lives in the world and has the possibility of having a family. Such a form also exists. Some people do not understand. They think that I am deceiving. Well, here I have answered the question. Therefore, in this sense, I really am a person who is in this order. But in this final incarnation, I no longer belong to any order. Therefore, my task is simply to do what I do.
Many thanks. Good afternoon, Master. I have a question about yoga. Yoga is a path, and it is an eightfold path. The last step on this path is Samadhi. What should a person do who has already reached this level of Samadhi? Because we roughly understand what to do before, but what to do after, when there is only one desire, to return to this state.
First of all, if a person is in Samadhi, they have no questions about what to do. If they were in Samadhi and came out of this state, and, as you correctly said, only one desire remains, to return to it, then the question of what to do should not be considered from the point of view of what to do next. Because in this case, our mind offers us different options. In this state, I can create. In this state, I can paint pictures. In this state, I can do everything. But Samadhi does not need this. In Samadhi, the yogi does not need to do anything. He does it out of necessity. But as you correctly said, when a person accidentally enters this state, why accidentally? Because if they had not accidentally fallen into this state, they would not have come out of it. Because those who know how to enter it remain in it. They just woke them up. Yes, let's assume. But if, let's assume, you somehow came out of this state, then throughout your life, you will want to return there again. But this is actually also an attachment. I was in this state. I wanted to return. I understood that it is unattainable from an ego point of view. And when I put aside my ego and started practicing again as if for the first time, what I wanted began to happen again and again. Samadhi is the grace of God. If we want Samadhi, we must understand why we need it.
Samadhi is death. If a person is ready for death, then samadhi will occur. When we want this state, we must understand that this state is beyond the personality. Personality disappears in samadhi. Even the first part, the first level of samadhi, this is savikalpa samadhi, where the human I disappears into the cosmic I. And then the person disappears. This is death. It was jiva and became shava. We happen to have spoken about this today. Jiva is life, jivatma. Jivatma is that which is the human self. And when a person enters samadhi, samadhi is the result which is equal to shava, a corpse. Because in this state, a person disappears. Nirvikalpa samadhi is a state where you redefine yourself, but already as something else. That old personality no longer has any power. Maybe it will still remain, but only for communication. So, what can I advise you on this matter? Just keep moving towards the unity of achievement. Practice, pray. Go beyond the mind, go beyond the personality. Not much is needed to go beyond the personality. The whole sum of Kriya Yoga technologies is built in such a way as to go beyond the personality. There are two paths in this sense. We have them combined. But since you have already divided yoga into 8, as they say, levels, although this is not quite correct, but still you can imagine it this way, then I will divide yoga into 2 main aspects. This is spiritual practice, sadhana, with all its necessary conditions. And the second is the method of self-inquiry. The method of self-inquiry consists in the fact that when you practice yoga, you direct all your strength, all your attention toward the one who practices. You asked a good question, and I have the opportunity to answer it the way I would like. You direct all your strength, maintaining the regularity of practice, maintaining the consistency of practice, maintaining concentration, maintaining an understanding of how to correctly perform that same Mahamudra, Jyoti Mudra, and so on. You direct all your attention toward the one who is practicing, toward the one who is watching. We meditate on the one who is meditating. I have talked about this many times today. Someday it will work. How quickly depends on your regularity. When I understood this, I started paying attention only to this in practice. Therefore, I tell you again and again, you are a witness. You are not the one practicing. Do you understand how universal everything is? If you are practicing, you will encounter difficulties in your practice and will say, I'm practicing, it is difficult for me. Can you say that it is difficult for you if you are not the one practicing? You do not allow this. Do you understand me? You do not allow yourself the opportunity to identify with the results of your practice, because by and large you are not practicing. The personality practices, the body. You work with this. You can wash the car, but you are not a car. You just thoroughly wash the car, make it beautiful. But again, for whom? For people. For beauty. You are fixing it. You are embellishing it. But you are doing it for someone. And you are doing it, but you are not the embellishment. It is with this aspect one must practice. With this attitude one must practice. That is, constantly learn to be able to concentrate on the one who concentrates. Here you are sitting now. You are sitting. I remembered one anecdote. I'll tell it later. You are listening to me. You are practicing. Try to catch that very subtle moment of the one who is sitting right now, not with his body. Try to catch yourself based on that which you feel. Here I am. This is called the state of here and now. This state can be characterized as I am here, I exist. Here I am right now. But behind this I exist opens the boundless higher self, which can be called I am. From this I am arises I am. From this I am arises feeling. And then our life takes shape. From consciousness arises 5 energies. Try to focus on what you are. I am is right now. And go deeper, go even further. And practice will help you do this. Therefore, when you are sitting, you need to realize that you are here and now, and you are sitting. Here is a short anecdote. A philosopher is sitting in his bunk. In prison. He watches as his angry cellmate paces back and forth, swearing, back and forth, arguing with himself. And he thinks, I need to calm him down. I've had enough already. The philosopher says, listen, can I tell you something? His cellmate replies, yes, what do you want? The philosopher says, here you probably think that you're walking back and forth. Yes, well, what do you see me doing here? Actually, we're sitting in jail, he says. Therefore, when you practice and think that you are sitting, but in fact, you are practicing, and vice versa. Think about the philosopher who observes that which is happening. Does this answer your question? Let's have the next one.
Hello, Master. During the lecture in Augsburg, you said that the breath of fire is not very good for the body. But I really liked it. There you continued with some second exercise which masters do not give. Could you share this second breath that continues the breath of fire as far as I understand?
There, the law of compensation comes into force. It will be a little difficult for you to do it. The point is that the breath of fire reduces the number of respiratory cycles in life. Remember, I told you that it is necessary to prolong our breathing in order not to quickly end the rhythm. The number of cycles given to us in life is limited. Why do you think that this breathing is very suitable for you? What do you feel from it?
I myself am a bit of an amoeba in life, especially in the mornings. Slow and so on. When I do the breath of fire, I feel like I am filling up with energy. In any case, those are my feelings.
Listen, any other practice will make you. Choose an image for yourself, just not an amoeba, but something else. There is nothing wrong with you being slow, if that is what you meant.
Yes.
Absolutely not, because in this slowness, there is awareness. You are aware in any case. You are slow, but who demands quick decisions from you? Why?
I get things done very slowly, which I
Who is unhappy with this?
am, of course. Primarily, it's me.
You can do this in advance.
It just lengthens the time.
Imagine how beautiful life is in this,
In my thoroughness,
in this long temporary line of life.
This is good. Look, when you finish everything quickly, you will have nothing to do then, and it will be uninteresting. You will start to get bored.
I will do more Kriya.
You will take your time. Focused, savoring each element. This is actually very good. Khadija will be exactly happy that you will do each element slowly, looking at your hand. This will be...
By the way, yes, I even do the 42 Kriyas not in 40 minutes, but in more than an hour.
This speaks to the fact that you do it qualitatively. What do you mean you did them in 15 minutes? Are you doing the 42 Kriyas? Yes. How long? 15 to 20 minutes. Looking at him, it is clear that he just galloped through them and that's it. And he didn't remember anything and didn't work out the mechanics. And you see, you immerse yourself in it. You look at it without a fuss.
At other times, I can be quite fussy.
So there is still such a possibility. Let's not do breath of fire. You will do ojas breathing. I want to disappoint you. However, the breathing I just gave you, you won't be able to do it slowly. It just won't work because a second is a second. You can't do anything about that here.
But even my seconds, when I count, they are slower than... I mean it.
Then it is preferable that you have a tuning fork. It can be good if you do it, instead of 1 second, thinking that this is 1 second, but 3 or 5 pass. Then the pattern becomes more powerful. You know that real pranayama starts from the moment when you... The basic pattern of pranayama starts from 12, 48, 24. You see? The average very powerful pranayama pattern is 15, 60, 30. In this pattern, a person stops getting sick, aging.
Do you need to come to this gradually?
Yes. So it's better to practice this. Because Agnisara breath can also help ventilate the brain a little. But there are other ways for that too.
I understand.
By the way, have you ever done nasal irrigation?
Well, I did it at one retreat, but in life, no.
Tell me this. Do you notice that you have accumulating mucus?
Yes.
If you will be doing pranayamas that expel mucus at least once a week or twice a week, it is generally better to wash your nose with saline solution every day and stop eating mucus-forming foods, including potatoes with bread containing gluten. Then you will be doing pranayamas once per second, not a second per every 2 seconds. That is, the speed of your life will be in step with time.